She a little ratchet, yeah, but I'm still gonna smash it.
Hey, what's going down? It's your boy, the young boss hog, Natomas Slimm, and we chopping up game with educator Rashad Nassor. Rashad, thank you so much for coming on the show. Definitely appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it too as well.
No,
Appreciate
no
it, Slim.
problem. Yeah, no problem, man. So I brought you on because a lot of our listeners are parents, and
Hmm.
school's going to be starting up soon. I know they got a lot of questions about what's going on with the pandemic, and then also with the protesting, and it's just the human rights issue that's going on here in the United States, and how is that
Right.
going to be navigated in the education system. So I wanted to bring somebody on that has more knowledge of that than myself, and that's why I
Okay.
got you up on in here. But
All right.
before we get started, I just want people to know just a little bit about yourself. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit, your credentials, how long you've been in education, stuff like that?
Oh, I've been in education for 13 years. My credentials is validated for sure. California State Credential Teacher. Probably one of the best teaching programs in America. Well, hands down, California teachers, some of the best. So I got to give a shout out to my California educators. Uh, so I've been doing this 13 years. Got started in Arkansas. Right after college, I went out there, with family. So my grandma's very well known in Osceola, and I started substitute teaching there at kindergarten, which was pretty interesting. You know, I didn't know
Oh,
how to do it.
you was teaching little crumb snatchers. Oh
Oh
man.
man, oh
Oh,
man, like little kids was crying. I'm like, okay, little boys crying in there, and I'm like, hey man, you can't cry. He's like, why? I said, because you're a big boy. Let me see your muscle. Little dude showed me his muscle. All right, man, suck them tears up. See you strong. Give me 5 push-ups. And so, I didn't know what to do. And then like little story time come around and they circling there and I'm just like acting out the little stories they have, the cat in the hat and all that type of stuff. And so it was definitely interesting. So I started off there. Then I came back to California, and I got on with the Urban League. So it went from like literally like 4 to 6 year olds to adults, adults who needed their GED and a high school diploma, preparation for that. And I was pretty successful doing that too as well. And mind you, I didn't have any formal training. And so what made me really take it serious was when a parent, uh, she told me like some of the math strategies that she learned in my classroom that she was, using to help her daughter do her homework. And so she was like, see, I'm doing homework with my baby now and I'm helping her out. And, thank you so much, Mr. Nassor, for helping me with that. And I was like, dang, I'm really like helping folks. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little deeper than just that one person. It's like I'm helping a family. You know what I mean? And helping the next generation through their parents. And so, I was planning on being a lawyer. So I was, basically just waiting at getting a law school. So I applied to a couple law schools. I already took the LSAT and everything. I did decent on that. And so, but after that, I like kind of reevaluated of what I wanted to do with my life. And then that was to just be that was to be an educator. So I decided to go into the master program. And it was a blended program where you get your master's and teaching credential. And I did that. And I did my student teaching in Fontana, uh, out there in like San Bernardino County, which is, if those who know, like the Inland Empire in that area, it's a pretty challenging area to say the least. And that woke me up a lot too, just based on how the public school education is and how kids feel about it, especially like non-white children. When a kid told me that school is worse than juvenile hall, I was like, wait, what? He was
what?
like, yeah, man, the little youngster, I was doing my student teaching, and he was a little turned up. And I was like, hey, I told him, I said, hey, young man, can you please have a seat? He was like, man, stop talking, just all turned up, man, stop talking to me. I was like, what? This little dude, like 4'2", And I'm like, you okay, young man? He was like, man, I hate this, man. I hate school. This is worse than juvenile hall. I was like, he said like something like it's worse than juvie. I was like, how is this worse than being locked up? But I guess just the whole system for him. And that was a while back, and it stuck with me. And so I'm like, why do kids feel this way about school, where it should be a place of learning, while they feel like it's like a second extension of the school to prison pipeline, basically, like it's an extension of jail. And essentially, a lot of times, when you unpack it, in the systemic racism in schools, particularly towards Black people and Black children, it tends to feel like that. And so I've been doing this for 13 years, middle school, high school, adult education, and you know, and I'm continue doing it too, and just trying to do good work in the community and just do my little bit to give back to the youth.
So you hit basically every aspect of it. You did elementary with the kindergarten, you did
Right,
middle school, high school, and you did after high school with the adults.
right.
Oh man, so you got the whole K through 12 system unlocked basically.
Yes, I mean yes, yeah. And so like my teaching strategy is, I mean, it's completely different. It's completely unique just based on my teaching experiences, and just the communication that I have with the students as well as with the parents is just completely unique too. So there's really no cookie cutter way of doing it. You can go to teaching in colleges and stuff like that, but once you get that classroom experience, that's the best teacher. And one of my student teachers, I have to give her props, was Miss Nora Khan, out there at Fontana. She's East Indian, by the way, of Canada, and she was a very good teacher, and a very good, a master teacher, I should say. And so I got a lot of my strategies from her.
Okay, so speaking of the education system, so you're
Mhm.
about to go back to teaching. School
Right.
starting August, September, something like that. So what is it going to look like with the pandemic going on, with protests going on? How are schools going to structure the classroom?
You know what's interesting? I personally don't know, and I think they don't know either because they ain't told us nothing. So, I'm thinking they don't know. Just like the distant education or the distant learning part, that was seriously a learning curve for a lot of teachers. Me personally, I was already doing assignments that was online. From the distance. That part wasn't hard for me. Uh, but a lot of parents have to adjust, the schools have to adjust, teachers, we have to adjust because, again, with the coronavirus, which is highly contagious, as an educator, in the classroom, what is that going to look like? You know what I mean? I know what I can do. It's going to be looking like, in my classroom, it's going to be looking like everybody grandmama house. It's gonna be plastic all over the place. So that's what it is. But for me, it's gonna be looking like that. But I don't know about everyone else, and me, I was already on the wipes and stuff like that because kids are kids. I got sneezed on a couple times, so I already know what it is. Like, kid come up to me, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've been social distancing from kids since day one, man.
man,
They're disgusting.
yeah, and a lot of them don't even know it. Like they just pick their nose and wipe it. I'm like, man, you just gonna pick your booger and wipe it on the desk, huh? So with youngsters, like high school kids, they're a little different. But like with youngsters, like elementary and middle school kids, the social distance, I can't even see that happening with kids because kids are naturally by nature are social, human beings. I mean, that's how they grow. That's how they learn community, socialization, so to speak. And so I don't know how that's going to look, honestly. Like in California or certain school districts, you can have up to 32 kids in a classroom with one teacher. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So how are you going to do that? You can't, and a lot of these classrooms aren't that big either. You know what I'm saying? And so, and a lot of these schools, public schools, don't have the resources even to have like separate desks. So what are we going to do? We're going to cut that in half to 16. And how can you do the 6 feet apart, social distancing? How are these desks going to look? You're going to have to spend billions of dollars to just remodify classrooms throughout just the state of California alone, so that teachers and students alike, don't, for preventative measures of this coronavirus. And so I really thought about that. And it's going to take a lot of money, more teachers, and then it's going to have to be a hybrid system, I believe, for it to be a, hybrid system, which means half online, half, at the schoolhouse, for it to be successful in a pandemic like this that has like no cure. No way, no one really knows what's going on with the coronavirus. And so to pack kids in there, I just think it's completely unsafe for everyone.
Man. So, I mean, outside of the pandemic, because I feel like we're dealing with two pandemics right now, right? So we got the
Sure.
virus pandemic with coronavirus, and then we just got all the protests going on with police brutality and social injustice and criminal injustice that's going on. So as an educator, this is going to be brought up in the classroom
For
like,
sure.
So how are you going to tell your kids about what's going on both ends, right? What's going on with the virus and what's going on, what they're seeing every day in the news.
Right. I mean, with the virus, I guess I'm like everyone else, we have to use proper precautions. And so even with the students, I'll just say, hey, use proper precautions. Wash your hands. Always have hand sanitizer, wipes, wipe down your area. I'm going to have some plastic. So it's going to be looking like grandmama, how, her good furniture. It's going to be some plastic there, So, and then even when kids are sick, like, how are we going to deal with all this? So that's a whole nother, that's a rabbit hole that we all have to look at, and they need all minds on deck. A lot of times these school districts, they just powwow amongst themselves. So they just get in a circle amongst themselves and bounce out little ideas, and it doesn't work for teachers. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times teachers' voices aren't heard in the planning of class structures and even some policies. You know what I'm saying? So to address that with children, I'll just personally just say, we have to just, use proper precautions, social distancing, and just do the best we can. You know what I mean? During this. Now with the anti-Black racism that's going on in America, and that's in all systems of this country, I would say a lot of Black teachers' voices aren't heard. And in many cases, they're silenced.
I mean, is this something that you witnessed, or somebody's told you, or that
it's personal. Yeah. Personally.
That's happened to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It happened to me, and then I also talked to a few other Black teachers. They say the same thing. We're told to just like, stick to the book. Stick to the book. While maybe some white teachers, they have more of an open forum to speak how they want to speak. You know what I'm saying? And so I keep hearing a lot of, they want Black teachers, but I think they just want Black teachers with the skin tone. And that's not going to work, because, what's the point of having a bunch of Black teachers that's not producing justice, that's not, giving kids the information in which they can be successful as, as people. And
so
they
want Black teachers. They, like you said, they want the skin tone, but they don't want the thought.
They don't want the thought. Right. So they just want you to fall in line.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a problem. And the turnover rate for a lot of Black teachers, they get in and out because they're silenced. A lot of us, we have we want to give back. We love education. And then we get caught up in the politics, and you have other teachers hating, you know what I mean? White teachers that probably don't like how kids may gravitate towards you naturally. I mean, I had teachers telling me the reason why kids like me because I'm black. Not that I'm successful, because, you know, my track record proves that, uh, but because I'm black. That's it. I'm like, and I said, and I looked at her and I said, hey, I said, so why do the Latino kids like me? I said, they're not black. And she was like, oh, well, I said, in some cases, their skin tone is closer to yours. So why do they like me? And why do the white kids like me?
Hmm.
That's because I'm intentional about producing justice in the classroom, which for me means, and I got this from Neely Fuller, he's an author, and, you know, which means that, you know, you guarantee that no child is mistreated. And I try my best to guarantee that for the kid who needs the most constructive help, they get the most constructive help. So with that, you know, with that in my mind, I'll go in there and I try to help every kid the best way possible to meet their needs. So each kid has individual attention from me, one way or the other. Whether they acting up, I try to correct it in a way in which, you know, they understand why they messed up. And then when they're doing great, I give them the praises that they deserve. And so a lot of black teachers are silenced, so they can't even do any of that. And there's a lot of beautiful black minds out there that can bring a lot to the education system, but they burn out because of just the stress, the lack of support. Like a lot of black teachers, we don't get no support. They just try to just say, oh, here go all the black kids, you deal with them. Well, y'all already damaged these kids from day one. You got them feeling bad about themselves, you know. You mess up their name on purpose, and then you try to give them a nickname. And no, their mom named them this, their family named them this. This is their name. Just so many microaggressions in the classroom. Black kids, I mean, these are all stats too. Black kids getting kicked out of school left and right. If a black kid does good in school, in a classroom, he or she don't get the love that a white kid may get if he or she does good. But if a black kid do one thing bad, it's like they did the worst.
Bring in the
of
SWAT.
everything. Oh yeah, SWAT team coming in, all type of weirdo stuff. Yeah, but a white kid do bad. Oh, you know, he's having a tough day. Yeah, bringing in counselors. He's getting the Dylan Roof treatment. He's getting food. You know, he's getting love, yeah, in TLC. While we get, you know, the worst of the worst type of treatment. And so a lot of young black children, they already buy into the systemic stereotype of black folks not doing good in school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when it comes to kids, you know, black kids, even and Latino kids as well, but what do you see as the barrier? You know what I mean? Like what I mean, not the barrier, like what do you see can be changed in order to make it a more accepting environment for these kids?
Well, okay, well, the National Teacher Association, I believe, they admit that the education system is built on systemic racism. It's a racist system. Now, this is the National Education President.
How so? What's
the curriculum, off top, the curriculum, the practices of it, and then the curriculum, the practice, the practice as far as like the teaching practices, the needs that are being met. You know, African American kids, out of everybody, we have the most. Our people, our needs are completely different than everyone else's, just based on the systemic racism for about 400 years. Before America was an actual country until now. So our needs specifically have to be addressed. And on top of that, you have to look at what is being taught in these classrooms. uh, what is being taught in a lot of these classrooms is Black folks aren't successful. Outside of Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, and then now President Obama, who else? So there's a lot of young Black children running around here thinking that we had absolutely no contribution to the United States outside of slavery and shooting a basketball and rapping and things like that. And Black girls, they don't even know what, Black girls have no idea of the beautiful mind they come from and what they have. All the Black women who have contributed to just science alone in business. Madam C.J. Walker, they really don't promote her at all. Harriet Tubman, they kind of promote her as just like this person that was like just a runaway slave, and she had the Underground Railroad. It's like she's a footnote. Like it's not a lot that they say about her, but that they don't say that she was such a bright woman that she did that Underground Railroad, and plus she was a spy. She was spying on the Confederacy too. Like, come on. Like that is not only courage, but intelligence on top of that. So, but they don't say it like that. And so she's a slave and she ran away to Canada. And they don't even give Mexico no props about freeing the slaves, and a lot of the African slaves joined a lot of the Mexican army, and a lot of Black folks went to the West, which was Mexico, and Mexico was like, nope, y'all can't come here and snatch them up because they're free in Mexico. So they don't even give Mexico love. They just say, oh, Canada helped them, and that's that. And so when you think about that science, they don't talk about Dr. George Washington Carver. They don't talk about
George Washington Carver had like 1 billion things that he made out of peanut butter.
Right.
Or the peanut.
And the soybean. Yeah. He was, ag science. He was like the #1 ag science. Like a lot of his inventions and how he can produce like just like mass amount of produce came from him. Plastic, he's one of them. They don't even tell you about Jack Johnson, a boxer who invented, I believe, the monkey wrench, he invented a tool that's used. I think it's the wrench or something, like a type of wrench.
I didn't even know that. I knew he was the boxer. He was a champion.
I saw that on PBS. I be on my nerd stuff sometimes. I'll be watching PBS, and they just gave the whole a breakdown on him too as well. So a lot of children, they don't know this, especially when you're a Black kid, and the Black parents, they don't know this either.
Because they weren't taught.
So, no, because we're not taught that. So we have to go out and seek our own knowledge. A lot of this stuff I haven't learned until I was older. You know what I mean? Watching different documentaries. I know one is pretty good, Hidden Colors. I watched that, and I learned a lot from that because there's a lot of, it's a lot of Black educators on there. But I'm a grown man, and I'm just figuring this. I'm just learning about this.
Yeah, I just found out Madam C.J. Walker was actually the first woman to be a millionaire, period.
Right.
First woman to be
period. Self-made.
There are women who are millionaires, but they're, married into the family. They got their money from, inheritance,
and
whatever
stuff like that.
it may have been. But she was the first self-made millionaire that was a woman out of any race, just her, period.
And her program on how she became rich was she was running like a, I think it's like a call system kind of thing, like an Avon kind of thing.
Yep.
So like the way she was running it.
It's like what is it, Mary Kate? Those people that are like Mary Kate, you know what I mean? Like with Mary Kate, everybody's their own business, but not really.
Right.
Yeah.
She started that type of program. She did that first, and they took the blueprint from her. She don't get no credit for that. You know what I mean? So you have a lot of Black girls who, who don't see themselves as being successful. Let's talk about Hidden Figures, all those sisters who were used as computers because they didn't have the actual computers. But these Black women had such beautiful mathematical minds that they literally, their mathematical genius was the one that got, I believe, the rocket ship to orbit, the moon or something like that.
Yeah, to the moon.
Yeah. Come
Yeah.
on, man. Come on.
Yep. And nobody
And
knew about
so
that until they made a movie.
until they made a movie.
Yeah.
And
That
then,
was in
I
zero
mean, and then
history
they
book.
lie about the movie and say it was like a white savior, which was not even true. So we got to stop lying, because we have our own agency. Not saying white folks don't help, but we have our own agency. And here's the flip side. Speaking of white folks, here's the flip side of things about that. I noticed too. So if you're a white person about freedom, justice, and equality, and in the school system, like John Brown, they got him out like he crazy. They got John Brown. Like growing up, when you heard about John Brown, you thought he was just like some crazy white dude, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like he was just out there just shooting up white folks because he just snapped and said, I hate slavery, like he crazy. But in reality, it wasn't even like that. He was a very religious man, and he took his Christianity serious, and what he seen was hypocrisy, and he seen pure evil. And so what he did, he literally was just fighting against oppression, and then he found some folks who were down with him too as well.
Mm.
So he wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
He was the perfectly sane one,
Well, I mean,
and so even white kids who feel like, hey, you know what? I don't like this, they get demonized because you're taught systemic white supremacy in the school system directly and indirectly. So you start learning the hierarchy.
And
you're
also taught not to buck the system, right?
Right.
Whatever it is what it is. So
Right.
you go along with whatever it is. I mean, even speaking upon the slavery thing, I mean, in books, K through 12, they just teach slavery. They don't teach anything else about it. They teach you what slavery happened, Abraham Lincoln, freedom. All of a sudden, Martin Luther King popped up.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And then Barack Obama.
Yeah. And there you go.
And there you go. That's what you got. So
yeah. And then basketball and Jordans in the middle of all that.
All that Jordan and Magic, now LeBron.
Yeah.
That's what you have. But they're missing 100 years between not even 100 years. They're missing what happened all through slavery, all the rebellions.
Right.
That were going on, all the uprisings. Like it's not as if black folks was just docile people, just like, well, I guess this is how it is.
Right.
Whatever.
And then that's another thing that a lot of black children, especially when they start getting into middle school and high school, when teachers start talking about slavery, they're tired of hearing that story of us just getting our ass kicked, because that's far from the truth. Because I look at it differently. Yeah, there were slaves. Those were the ones who just went along to get along. They're like, cool, hey, what's better than this? Or like that Kunta Kinte part, when I forgot the dude's name, but Lou Gossett Jr. was playing that role, and he was like, hey, Guinea man, you messing it up for for us. Leave all that African stuff alone. I'm kind of paraphrasing.
Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about.
Right. Okay, right. And so, yes, he was a slave. Kunta Kinte was a freedom fighter. You see what I'm saying? Because he didn't want to be in that system of bondage. He didn't want to be in that. He didn't want to be a slave. He didn't want to be, a prisoner of war, essentially. So he was fighting until they literally had to cut his feet off, and he still was trying to get out. So there were so many brothers and sisters, black men, black women, who were freedom fighters, and they don't talk about that part. So they say, oh yeah, the slaves rebelled. No, those were people, well, sure, yeah, the slaves rebelled, but those were freedom fighters who handled their business, and then got y'all attention, and y'all had to fight them off, or they were fighting y'all off. So these are not slaves. So many of us, we come from a freedom fighting background, and you could clearly tell some who don't, just based on their behavior. You'd be like, you were snitching. You wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Your family didn't come from that. you know, and everybody has a different role and a different personality, but you know, the way they teach it, it just turns the children off. And yeah, I was in a meeting where, you know, a teacher, he was kind of upset that one of the black girls called him a racist because he was playing these slave movies. And I just, you know, I raised my hand. And I said, well, to be quite honest, you know, she's a kid, she's a child, so I wouldn't put too much on that. But you're also the teacher. If you see that children aren't feeling that lesson, then you ask them the question, what is it that you don't like about this? And then because if you don't know why they don't like it, then you should ask questions too, because as an educator, you should always be learning, especially when it's children and you're a grown person. You don't know half the stuff they know or half the stuff they're going through. Like, you even listen to their music, you're like, who's this person? This little guy with licorice hair. I don't know who he is. I'm gonna sit here listen to Ice Cube and E40. They're like, dude, who's this? My dad listens to this. I'm looking like his age. Like, what do you think? He ain't gonna listen to the guy with the licorice hair? No, he not. So for us as educators, we have to ask these questions. And white educators, you know, just to give, you know, the ones who are about freedom, justice, and equality, and who want a successful classroom, and then who want the respect of all children, particularly black children, because they can make your time hard in that classroom when you ain't cool. Trust me, I had a couple that make it tough for you. You want to know how you can help them and how you can help them understand. And you know, when it's dealing with issues, racial issues, you want to hear them out. You want to hear the kids out. You want to hear their voices.
Okay, so I mean, that's good and dandy, right? Is you know, making sure that you listen to your students and you're gearing the curriculum around them.
Right.
But you know, kids aren't in school 24/7. You know what I
True.
mean? Like they got to leave. They got to go back to their homes, go back to their communities, go back to deal with the good and the bad of whatever their home life may be. So, I mean, that's a lot to take on as a teacher. You know what I mean? Because you're not just
Right.
teaching, you're also, you know, mentoring, you're also counseling, you're also uh, you know, coaching. You're so many things into one when they get into your classroom. So,
Right.
you know, as an educator, just not even educator, just on a broader picture, like what can be done to help kids outside the classroom?
Yeah, and especially during a time like this when kids, you know, it's 50 states, man. Like, this is historic what's going on, and I'm all for it, and I love it because, you know, being in history, a history teacher, we learn about different rebellions. You know, they like to call our stuff riots, but these are actually rebellions. Um, our founding fathers, they rebelled against the British because of injustice. Um, Nat Turner, he rebelled,
Yeah.
you know, and they like to make him out like he did things the wrong way, just like Kaepernick and Martin Luther King and everybody else. Everybody did it wrong as black, but they rebelled. And so
Well,
the
I mean,
kids,
even on the flip side, think of the flip side, the Confederacy, they rebelled. You know,
man,
you know what I
real
mean?
talk,
Hey,
to the point
you-
they still rocking that flag. Like, come on. You know, and that flag is really about slavery, because even the guy who, I forgot the dude's name, but he even said it like, this is about white supremacy and
yeah, no,
maintaining
it's about
slavery.
yeah, it's about keeping slavery. You're waving that flag, you're waving a big L. Actually, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Like you're waving a L. Like you took a
right.
huge L. That flag represents a L, like the biggest L you could. Like you lost a war. That's the biggest
And a
L.
treasonous, and treason too.
Oh yeah,
So you was trying to like go against the country because you wanted to keep slaves.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, though.
yeah. And they say it's about states' rights, but it is because it's about the states having the right to keep slaves.
Right, yeah. You know, free labor,
Yeah,
which they owe the money for
yeah.
real, for real.
Yeah,
Um,
but back to it. Like, so what, with everything that's going on right now, these kids are seeing this. Some may be participating in it. Some might be right in their neighborhoods, right outside their door, and they're coming back into the classroom. So, like, what can teachers or schools or school districts and superintendents or whomever do to help these kids or to help outside of the classroom?
So, so my suggestion will be is that now is the time where these kids have to have agency, and we as educators, what I mean by agency is that we have to allow them to have a voice and to express their feelings, and we have to be facilitators in this, because there's going to be teachers out here that's going to say, oh, that building that got burned up, that was wrong. Well, you can't really say, well, what was really wrong? You can't. Okay, number one, there's going to be teachers that's going to say that. It's going to piss a whole lot of people off, including almost every single Black person that's an educator there. Some will be boisterous about it, some won't. So it's a suggestion that if you're a white teacher and that's how you feel, keep that shit to yourself. No, what it sound like?
We just had a
Earthquake?
no, we just had an EAS alert.
What's
My bad.
that?
Oh, shit. Just broke my headphones.
You got another pair?
Nah, but I can still hear it. They're just a little loose. I just gotta buy some more. Cheap ass motherfuckers. Sorry, we just had an EAS alert. I just heard
What's
it was
that?
going off. That's let you know, like, if there's a fire, wildfire, earthquake,
Oh man.
flood, a kid that got abducted, emergency alert
Oh,
system.
emergency alerts. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
Oh
beeping. And
man.
I probably was going through that. So let's just where do we leave off at so I can edit this thing? It'd be good.
We left off at
Yeah,
the
let me
kids
ask you a
having.
question. I was asking that,
Yeah.
like, what can be done? How can you help kids outside? And you're talking about giving them a voice. So let me just ask that question again.
Okay.
All right. So what can what can teachers or schools or school districts, superintendents, whomever do to help these kids when they're outside of the classroom, when they're back in their communities?
So what teachers can do is, well, like outside and inside the classroom, I would say, start inside, because that's where we're going to see most of them, is that we got to hear them out. They have to, we have to allow the kids to have agency. Well, anyway, they're going to take it anyway. So, their voices are going to be heard one way or the other. So we have to facilitate that space, coming up with curriculum that matches, update the curriculum for them. Now, outside the classroom, if we live within those communities, we have to really be out there, and at least, and it has to be all hands on deck. It can't just be one teacher going to, out here, in the community by themselves. No, we need to, it has. If you're a school, we have to be a part of the community. A lot of these problems stem from schools. The police, a lot of these problems, all these racial riots in the last 60 years came from police killing Black people unjustly or beating them unjustly. And it's costing the country billions of dollars. And
Speaking of,
so,
hold on. Speaking of that, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but
oh
so
no,
these
no
kids,
problem.
I would say these kids are seeing this. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, they're seeing all this.
they're seeing all this. So how
Yeah.
are you as a teacher going to navigate that? You know what I mean? Or how should teachers navigate? Because they're back home, they see it on TV. It may be in their community, maybe right outside their door. They may be participating in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So as a teacher, how are y'all supposed to address that?
So again, the anti-Black racism, we just have to be straight up with it. It is what it is. And that's what's going on, is just anti-Black racism. And so when we're saying Black Lives Matter, the whole world's saying that because they seen, like, literally they seen what happened, and that was just enough, with George Floyd being basically lynched for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. the world's seen that, and the whole world's going up, and the whole world's behind this cause of freedom, justice, and equality. And so, us as educators, we have to understand that, and we have to know. Now, there is white supremacist teachers, and they may turn around and say all lives matter, and then they're going to lose half their class, and then they're going to lose a lot of respect from their colleagues, and they're going to have to deal with that backlash. So if that's how they feel, they got to keep that to themselves, because that's going to be counterproductive in producing justice. And so outside the classroom, it takes a village to raise a child, and I believe that it shouldn't just be one teacher that's going around in the community, assisting and helping these kids out. And so, again, with kids, you want them safe. You want them safe. No one wants their kid to be out there protesting. You got to admire them, because as a parent, little Papo, he, gets 16, and, I pray to Allah every day that, this country is in a better place, that he don't have to go through this. And he's out there on the front line trying to produce justice, protest, and then putting his life in danger. Now, again, you're putting your life in danger in two fronts: the coronavirus, which don't care about any of this.
Yep,
and then
it's not protesting. Let me tell you that. Coronavirus chilling, just waiting.
Coronavirus got the Birdman hands right now. Like,
Oh, y'all in these streets? Oh, y'all in these streets?
Y'all in these streets.
I'm here. I'm just waiting. I'm chilling.
I'm chilling.
You outside? I'm here.
No social distancing. Okay. Oh, no mask on? Gotcha. So the coronavirus don't care. And then, so you're dealing with that pandemic on top of the racism, the 500+ year pandemic, that literally took hundreds of millions of people throughout the world, racism and white supremacy. And so the kids are in a unique situation. Again, it's global, all 50 states. Nothing has ever been like this. And this
That's
didn't
national.
even take a vote.
All 50 states.
No one voted.
Global.
Yeah. National and global. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I'm trying to teach the teacher. Trying to teach the teacher, huh?
I guess I brought the wrong person on. Oh,
no, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
And that's all African Americans want, is that respect, and then our just due too as well. So it's not, begging folks to love us or none of that stuff. It's just the respect as a human being.
You know what?
And then that's
I always say, you can keep your respect. Just give me my reparations.
Man, for real. Hey, yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Keep your statues. Keep all that stuff. All I want.
Cut the check.
Yeah. That's
cut the check, because that's what's owed. 14 to 22 trillion. All I need to hear is it gonna come in 10s, 20s, 50s, or 100s? Yeah, ones, or or you can deposit to me. Cut the check, because this is the time is now. And America built a lot of their wealth on that, and then a lot of kids don't know that either. And so
that was free labor. The free labor that came from slavery is a lot of reason why America was able to be the powerhouse that it is.
Well, it literally built the country. So there was no America without that money to the seed money to buy the weapons and to have the resources to fight off superpower like Great Britain. You know what I'm saying? So if they didn't have that money from free labor, and then after that they expanded and had even more slavery, and they got into a variety of products, I should say, so to speak. And so, it's well overdue. And then on top of that, over 100+ years of Jim Crowism all the way up to here, because this is like a Jim Crow, this is a neo Jim Crow program that we're in right now. We don't have a police department.
People think Jim Crow was just like segregation, but it was terrorism. It was massacres. You know, that people
Man.
just think of Tulsa massacres, but there's massacres in Florida, there's in Arkansas, there's some in
Right.
Texas. You know what I mean? Like
Georgia. All
yeah,
over the place.
they're all over the place, all over the place. They were killing black politicians. They were
Right.
killing black folks who was trying to go vote. And people thinking the voting thing was just the tax or the grandfather clause. No, they were literally killing people so they cannot vote. They were killing black candidates so they cannot be in the legislature. You
They
know,
were
like
killing black people who started their own businesses and became successful. They were killing black people for coming home from church. They were bombing churches like these, you know, so it didn't matter.
yeah,
It didn't matter.
it
Like
was
you could be anything. Yeah,
it was
I'm about to kill you
it was black folks were being
with
terrorized.
impunity.
It was literally terrorism,
Terrorism. Yeah, it was
domestic
terrorism.
terrorism that was going on within black folks,
Yeah,
majority in the South. You know what I mean? And
right.
eh, most people don't know that, right? Like Tulsa, what happened in Tulsa, a lot of people just found that out by watching The Watchmen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? They found out by watching a fictitious TV show.
Man,
That's how they found out about that. So
right.
and if people don't know all this stuff happened, then they're going to really look at you and be like, what are you talking about? You know, that was so far ago. Martin Luther King got everything done. You guys just had to drink out of different drinking fountains, whatever. But, you know, they're not knowing about redlining. They're not knowing about housing discrimination back then where black folks couldn't get
Well,
houses.
even now.
Even go back further, you know, even the GI Bill, where everybody was in the World War II and they come back, and the GI Bill was just for white people, not for black people who were in the same boat. So now these families weren't able to get the housing, and they weren't able to get the free education that the GI Bill afforded them to. So again, black folks left behind. You know, just a lot of things that
Yeah, medical
happened.
apartheid where we're experimented on, and Tuskegee was like the one that, you know, that had the most light, but this has been going on, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
well beyond and even now.
black women was experimented on just to see about pregnancies and
Right.
the inner workings of the gyno. I don't know that word, but you know, the inner workings of women.
Right. Yeah.
The inner
Yeah, I
workings.
feel you. Like we don't know. We like, you know, this, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
inner
the
workings
female
of
body,
women.
yeah.
Yeah, so just black folks have been like I say again, the best words, terrorized
Hmm.
since we've set foot on this land.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, off top. I mean, terrorized. A lot of our work have been lifted from us, stolen from us, and then we don't get credit for it. Um, a lot of things, man. Like, so this country owes us, you know, we put in work. We never went against America. We Black Americans, we never left this country in large numbers, because with that type of terrorism that was going on with slavery, we should have did a mass exodus, because you see folks from other countries, they out.
Now,
You
I
know,
like to
we
say that black people are the true definition of American and the American dream, because
right,
black folks actually believe in the Constitution because they look at it and they fight in order for the Constitution to live up to what it's supposed to be.
right. The
Right.
white
So
supremacists don't care about no constitution, by the
no,
way.
no,
Man,
they don't.
they'll rip that constitution up and throw it in the trash can
Yeah,
like it's
and
nothing.
that's what black folks do. Like every when we fight for stuff, we fight for what is in what the founding fathers wrote. Right? It's like
Right,
this says all men are created equal. I'm a man. Why ain't I equal?
right. I have the right to bear arms. I have the right to, you know, yeah, like the Bill of Rights.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, we hold that. Yeah, we hold that to the
we
T.
hold that, like we hold it to a T. We want it to live up to what it's supposed to be, and we've been
And
doing
we
that.
keep pressing the line. And we pressing the line. And we
Because we
also,
should.
yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Because even with the police killing us like this, that's against the Constitution.
Yep.
And we have the right to defend ourselves against state tyranny. And that's what this rebellion is about. It's tyranny. You know what I mean? Like these, you know, they're sanctioned to kill with impunity. Specifically black people, they can. I mean, it's very clear until just recently where they washed the police officer out there in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great thing.
Which is
And a lot
it's about accountability, and you see that they're walking off because they don't want
good,
to be held. Some don't
good,
want to be held accountable. Those who
good,
walk
and they
off
should walk
are
off.
the ones that do not need to be in the police force, because if you're
No,
mad that you can't kill somebody that is not putting your life in danger, then you shouldn't be on the police force. That should not be a job for you. Not
and
be a
some
job.
of these cops are serial killers, bro. They got like 4 or 5 deaths on their belt.
Yeah, they got bodies, man.
You know, they got bodies, man. So
Man,
some of these folks are
if
serial
they were on
killers.
the block, they would be the
They the
man.
hitters on the block.
They the hitters on the block. Yeah.
They like he a shooter. But in this case, a lot of these folks are soft targets. They don't have guns. They don't have weapons. You know, they're running for their lives. They're scared. They're getting put in situations where, they're panicky. And that's another thing, which I just believe that Black society, we got to understand that, that the police started off as slave patrol. That's just history. And so they never was in large numbers as a group, a friend of Black society. Now you may have individual police officers that are cool. I do. And we have, family, and friends who are, police officers who are cool, but they know the deal. They know that this, just like education, just like medical, government and all this, it's all systemic white supremacy, which means is to harm Black people with impunity, and they get away with this stuff. And it's good to see that the world, regardless of what skin color, is against that. And they're saying Black Lives Matter with us, and they're against the anti-Black racism that's going on in America and globally as well.
Yeah, it still confuses me how Black Lives Matter is people don't agree with that. You know what I mean? Like it confuses the hell out of me. Like how I could say, "Yo, Black Lives Matter," they'd be like, "What? You tripping, man? All lives matter." Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I never said all lives didn't matter, man. Like, it's
They
weird.
know. I mean, they know the deal. They're doing that to.
What gets me weird is that they say that it's a political issue. You know what I mean? Like, yo, Black people getting killed ain't political, bro. Like, this ain't Democrat or Republican. Like, none of us out there are saying this is a Republican issue, a Democratic issue. This is a stop killing us issue.
Right. Right. I mean, right. It's a justice issue. It's flat out justice. It's like, okay, what's going on is just unjust. And then how long are we going to be the cockroaches of society? So, we're not going to accept just getting stepped on, sprayed with Raid, and, white supremacists come around and mess things up for us, and we all scattering like roaches. No, like this, like it is going to stop. Like no one should have to deal with mistreatment. Like it doesn't make any sense as a human being. And you should not accept that, because if you're accepting to be mistreated, then you're okay with your kids being mistreated. So you got to look at that. Like, would you want your son or daughter or your kids to be mistreated? Then you got to speak up. Not everybody's a protester. Not everybody is a revolutionary, but you are a human being, and you can speak up about it. We have all these social media platforms. We have, your radio show as well, which is a great platform that you can hear a diverse group of folks, who can speak up against this type of stuff, because we need these voices out here. We need a diverse group of people who are for freedom, justice, equality, and sure, Black people, just like anybody else, is about 40, 50 million of us. We all don't agree on the intricacies of how to produce justice. But as long as it is producing justice at the end game, and we're getting, and me, I'm about them reparations, and we're getting what's owed.
Let's not even do education now, but you've been in education. So How since the whole system is basically based on racism, right?
Right.
You know, what can be done to change that? Like how can that be changed? I mean, do kids just have to live in go to school in a system that we all know is against them?
Man, like all systems, they have to be torn down and rebuild. Kind of like how Minnesota did the police department, they had to just wipe it clean. And then for those who stick around and want to produce justice, then that's where it starts. You know what I'm saying? And so right now, a lot of things that people are doing is patchwork, and patchwork in a sinking ship where there's just multiple holes. Right now the patchwork didn't work. 50 states and hundreds of countries, all of Europe, some of Asia, some of Africa, in Latin America too, in the Caribbean, all over. You know what I mean? So we have to literally just change the mind frame of these institutions. Because if you're still harboring a bunch of white supremacist thoughts and the minions of white supremacy too as well, which are the non-white people who agree, like the Candace Owens type of folks, Geraldo Rivera, people like that, Michelle Mulligan. So, huh?
Oh, I never heard of her, but your
Yeah,
favorite,
Fox News person.
your favorite lady is Diamond and Silk.
Diamond Silk, woo!
Those are your favorites,
Man,
right?
they are the clown show, though.
Your favorites, right there. Oh man,
Jeez, Louise.
To their page, boy. Yeah, their fan club. You get emails from them weekly.
Diamond and Silk, man. Them sisters, man. They put it on way too thick, and it just looks bad. But you can't take them people serious.
It looks like a minstrel show.
It does. And so to break down these systems, we have to get these folks up out of the systems. And so what white people can do for us to help Black society out is, and you can do this anonymously, let us know who these white supremacists are. Because they're very dangerous, because now you got a bunch of Black people who are suspecting all white people are white supremacists unless we know you personally. Because we live in this system and we've been getting hurt and killed by it. And so y'all ain't even letting us know who these folks are. And so we got to look at white people like the gang neighborhood. We know all y'all ain't bad, but your neighborhood is notorious. So like we go to a gang neighborhood, we know everybody on that block ain't no Crip or a Blood, but we know that neighborhood is, and we might get banged on. Somebody roll up on me, hey homie, where you from?
Where you from?
That's like white supremacy. We out here just driving around and the police pull up on us and bang on us, and they just, okay, homie, you got to pass, or nah, homie, we about to handle you and show an example that none of y'all could come back around here. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of us are starting to look at, white people, unless we know you personally as suspected white supremacists, because there's no master list to let us know who's who. And Neely Fuller was just, I listened to his podcast. He's an older Black gentleman who was in the Korean War. He really broke that down. I said, dang. And so I just kind of applied it to like my upbringing out in Southern California, the IE, is, you go down the wrong block, everybody's not a gang member, but that neighborhood is. And so you got to be extremely cautious and careful, watch what you say, keep your head on a swivel. And so that's how white supremacy is for a lot of Black people. You're just living in a state of terror. A lot of Black people are in denial about that. And now we're kind of just waking up to it. And so we need that master list, white folks. So if you know some white supremacists, you out them for us.
Send us that spreadsheet.
Man, send us that spreadsheet, man. If you're in your neighborhood, let us know. Hey,
it's cool. We could keep it on the cloud.
Yeah, we'll keep it on cloud, and you ain't even got to put your name.
Yeah.
Because if we find out, we finna out you.
Yeah,
we find out that this is the person right here, very dangerous. Danger, stranger, danger. So, but, that's how the white allies can really help. And then even like to help Black people economic situation, there's a lot of qualified Black folks who are overlooked just because they're Black. That's it. And there's many Black people who are overqualified for the jobs that they have, and there's white people who are underqualified for the jobs they have. You know, and so
Yeah, I rarely met a underqualified Black person for a
no,
higher up job. You know what I'm saying? Like, rarely met
rarely.
that. Probably one in my life, and he knew the person. You know what I mean? Like he knew.
I met one too. He was a mechanic. I'm like, you don't know what the hell you doing. Get off my car. You don't belong at this Walmart mechanic place, man. They need to put you selling oil. But other than that,
go to the stereo systems. You don't know.
Right, yeah, you don't know what you're doing here, man. You done put, you know what I'm saying, man, you done put oil in the goddamn gas tank.
You know, man, you hit the brake fluid in my oil.
Right, man, messing it all up. Transmission fluid in the coolant area. Like, what you doing, man? Trying to Google stuff. So, but it's it's very little. It's very like you said, there's a Black person in their position. A lot of times they have the credentials and even more. And even more. And then that is, to some degree, unfair, because what is that saying to Black kids? You have to be smarter and better than a white person. And then you got some Black people, even some educators as well as supervisors, telling Black people, and you look at the billionaires of white people, a lot of them haven't finished college. But the few billionaires, if any, well, there are a few.
There are a few.
Now,
Bob Johnson, Michael
Jordan, Kanye, Jay-Z. So those are the ones who didn't finish college. Bob Johnson did. He got a master's from Princeton or something like that. So he's a highly intelligent man. Not just saying he went to Princeton, but he still got clout in intelligence as well.
Yeah. Did Jordan finish at North Carolina? Did he ever go back?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but still, I mean, for him, I mean, Kanye, Jay-Z, and Jordan, whether they finished, Jay-Z didn't even finish high school, I don't believe, but he's still an intelligent man. And just based on his circumstances, by being a Black person, growing up in the Marcy projects, he had to adapt to his environment. And so his creativity, transitioned into his hip hop, which transitioned to his business. And now he's a successful businessman, as well as, an advocate for social justice too, as well. Maybe we don't agree with everything, but that's the uniqueness about Black society.
But he's still with it. You know what I mean? Like he's
on our team. Yeah, he's on our team. He's just going a different. He's on our team, but he has his own route. Which is fine. Which is fine. We really don't need leaders. We already have the blueprint, so it's good the way things are now, I believe.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. There's a few Black billionaires. Most of these people are like African.
Yeah.
I don't know how many.
Which is cool too, but I'm discussing like Black Americans. Yeah, I think it's 5. Oh no, the other brother that owns something else, but he paid for everyone's like college out in Morehouse or something. Robert Johnson.
Robert Smith. That's what you're talking about.
Robert Smith. Yes, sir.
That's what you were talking about. And then there's a David Stewart too. I never heard of David Stewart.
I never heard of David Stewart either.
He's a tech guy.
Huh?
He's a tech guy.
Oh, he's a tech guy, and he's a millionaire or a billionaire?
5 Black billionaires in America. So I guess there's only 5 Black billionaires in America.
And come on, man, and you're telling me that there's not enough innovation, enough smart Black brothers and sisters that, that most of them, that they can't be billionaires? Like, that's just, like, to me, like, you're just blocking folks out of wealth, and which they have been doing forever. And so that's why reparations, again, is important. Just from
there's only 5 Black billionaires? Damn, that's not
40,
a lot.
40, 50 million people?
Yeah, and the one that has the most money is Robert Smith. He's worth $5 billion. It's a lot.
That's still a lot of money.
Still a lot of money, but compared to like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Steve
Didn't Chris
Baldwin.
Rock say something on one of his stand-up? If Bill Gates woke up with Oprah money, he'll kill himself.
Yeah.
I think if Jeff Bezos woke up with Robert Smith money, he'll definitely kill himself.
Oh man,
he'll be right in front of the Amazon truck, laid on the ground, and telling the dude to run over him about 5-6 times and reverse. It'll be bad day for that man.
Yeah.
It'll be like, whoa, I'm poor.
Yeah.
With $5 billion, it'd be all bad for him.
Bomani Jones from ESPN, he was even talking about Michael Jordan. Now, Michael Jordan's a billionaire. He's worth $1.9 billion. But he was all like,
awesome.
Yeah, but he was like, compared to all the other owners in the NBA, Michael Jordan is broke. Right?
Yeah. So is he the brokest one?
Yes, he's the brokest one. So
and I use that with air quotes for show.
The brokest one.
Yeah.
And that's why he can't be paying his players as much as all these other people who's going into luxury taxes and all that other stuff. Like the Warriors went $500 million into luxury tax. You know, Steve Baldwin's $200 million in luxury tax. Jordan's like, yo, if I go 500 million, I'm not a billionaire anymore.
He ain't a billionaire no more, so that's why his team ain't winning all the time. He got to get rid of a few people. Like, man, Kemba Walker, you got game, but you cost a little too much, brother.
Yeah.
We're going to have to keep going into this draft until I get about $10 billion. Then we can get into this luxury tax.
Yeah, so so back to the education part of it, Mr. Nassor. When it comes to children and parents of the kids, what would you recommend parents do to make their kids' experience in the education system as smooth and as good as, and make sure that their kids get the education that they deserve?
So what I would say for the parents is that they have to be proactive in their kids' education. So they have to show up, if they can, be involved in a PTA, show up to parent-teacher conference night, call the teacher, text the teacher, email the teacher, do pop-up visits in the classroom, ask questions to the teachers, make sure you're involved in the teachers, and then listen to the kids. You know, sometimes the kids try to run hustles on their parents. Oh, we ain't got no homework, you know, so, but the parents have to know that. So they got to be on the teachers, you know what I mean? And many of our parents, I would say a few school districts, when I was working in before, the parents were very active. Pittsburgh Unified School District, the Black parents were active. Some other school districts, not as much. But I would say just on a nationwide sense, right now's the time. You have to teach your kids about, you know, who they are, because these history books, and you have principals that are telling teachers, stick to the book, even though it's a lie. Even about Christopher Columbus, stick to it. All this information out here about Christopher Columbus being one of the worst people on the planet, you know, in recorded history, stick to it.
Yeah, and even outside,
he's a good guy.
I was like, even outside him being a horrible person, he didn't even land in the United States.
No, he didn't.
Like, not one island that he touched is the United States.
None.
Not one. I don't even think he set foot in Puerto Rico.
No, it was Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic in Haiti, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is now known as that. And then he did that under the Spanish crown too. So he wasn't even like considered Italian, honestly. So, and that's I mean, that's real historical fact.
Yeah, and Italy wasn't a country then. They were all their own separate.
Like little nation states. Yeah. So there was no Italy. So there was no Italian. So what was it? Nepalese? Was he Roman? Was he Sicilian? We don't know. No, he was under the Spanish crown. So that's why all those names are Spanish, because, you know, it was under Queen Isabella.
Yeah.
That's history right there, brother.
Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, but we're in the history books, it's not, you're not taught that. You're taught that he discovered, you know, 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I still know that. I still know that.
Dang, that's so true.
I still know that. and we taught that he's the one that discovered America, and he never even set foot inside here. And this is a lie that we've been running with since 1490 fucking two.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy because try to give them the truth. You can get reprimanded as a teacher. You know, you can get reprimanded. And so, and I, you know, and, you know, the principal will come to you and be like, hey, you know, stick to the book. What are you doing? You know, they'll try to paint you out to be something that you're not. I mean, it's a lot of negativity.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the schools and stuff, man. But I'm glad that they got teachers like you, Mr. Nassor. So, but you know, it's time, man. I had you on this thing for a long time, so we got to get up on out of here. But I definitely appreciate you taking time out, speaking with me, and letting people know what's going on in the educational field, and just giving us some good game. So, I appreciate that, Rashad.
All right, I appreciate you. And again, you know, for all the parents out there, just make sure that you're very active in your kids' education, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility as a parent, you know, to educate your children. So you must be very involved in your kids' education, particularly at a time like this. You know, it's very essential. So thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. And next time, you know, we still low key on a quarantine. Next time I have you in the studio, my fault on that one. You know, we still got to social distance.
Hey, I'm telling you how to do it. You got to just have plastic. Plastic everywhere. The hazmat suit.
I have this looking like Granny House.
Man, that's what I'm saying. It look like Granny House.
Oh, man. Well, Rashad, thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
All right. One love.
No problem. All right, you're Choppin Up Game with Natomas Slimm. That was Rashad. We out of here.
She a little ratchet, yeah, but I'm still gonna smash it.